Thank you so much, Meral. It's such a wonderful way to start the day with you all in the room, old friends, new friends. Thank you so much for coming. As Meral mentioned, I lead our work on economic empowerment. We have 3 priorities. Jobs and entrepreneurship for women is a top priority for us. We know that women's engagement in entrepreneurship, in economic activity, is also constrained by the amount of unpaid care work that they do. And so transforming care systems is also a priority for us. And for many women around the world, we know they are constrained by what we call the climate crisis. And especially rural women living in informal areas, women living in disaster-prone areas. And so we've also taken as our 3rd priority, gender-responsive climate action and getting more women in the blue and green economies, taking advantage of the just transition. So those are our 3 key priorities, as you can see, very interconnected. However, underpinning those priorities is financing for gender equality, because we know we cannot do this work without the resources. We can build women's capacity to be entrepreneurs. We can build their capacities to participate in the labor markets, but the jobs that we create in those markets need to be decent jobs, and we need financing going to gender equality. And so we have a cross-cutting theme around financing for gender equality. To do this, we need governments to play their role. And so our 2nd cross-cutting priority is working with governments to make sure that the macroeconomic policies that they have in place are gender responsive, they address the needs and priorities of women. We also know social norms are critical for women's economic autonomy. Social norms, changing harmful, discriminatory social norms is important for women to engage in the labor force, to engage in entrepreneurship, and therefore changing social and discriminatory norms is an important part of our work. This morning we are here to talk about entrepreneurship and how we support, as Sarah rightly said, how do we support women entrepreneurs to thrive and not just survive. So grateful that you are leaders in this space, that you are actually showing how we can do this and how we can better support women entrepreneurs. The EXPO in the East and Central Asia, in the Europe and Central Asia region, actively engaged over 4,500 women entrepreneurs from 22 countries who participated in more than 50 virtual bootcamp sessions conducted in collaboration with local partners. The program has expanded its impact through the establishment of local expos in 10 countries. So when I look at that work, I actually say this is not even a program, it is a movement. And what we really want to see happen is this movement grow in other regions, which is why we have called you here today to put our heads together. 763 private companies participated in these Expo events, with over 30 partnerships established both at the regional and country level. And what we see is this weaving of this idea of supporting women-owned businesses really taking shape in the region, that we can replicate this success in other regions, as well as building on existing networks. We know in Africa, for example, the African Continental Free Trade Area gives us already the platform to start doing this. So I'm calling on all of you today, please do not leave this room without making a commitment that for the companies you represent, for the companies that you're networked with, what is it you're going to do to support women-owned businesses? And even more importantly, how are you going to work with us to roll this out in other countries, in other regions? How do we use the examples that you have provided to catalyze this movement around the world? As Sarah Hendricks says, we want this in 70 countries, 5 million women. And I'm actually counting on all of you to make this happen.